Conservative media viewers and boxing fans all around the world, what's up? It's me, John D. Villarreal, the four-time national champion and the MMA expert. I want to talk about Pacquiao versus Marquez 4. And I want to give an early prediction for this fight. I mean, I still haven't, and this is definitely by no means my final prediction. This is just maybe some early thoughts / prediction on this fight. I think it's going to be very interesting. I think there's a lot to talk about. I watched the third fight again, and I felt like Marquez won that fight, but I could see also some things in there where people could give some rounds to Pacquiao too. In other words, I think there was, for what I was judging, what I was seeing is that Marquez won that fight. But I could see where people, could easily give Pacquiao some of those rounds, and it could go that way and stuff. And I think it gave me some insights into looking at this fight, and also looking at HBO 24/7. Pacquiao versus Marquez. And I was checking out episode 2 again, and with Marquez in there training. And here's the thing: I mean, we've seen 3 close fights between these 2 boxing legends. I just think that looking at that third fight again and stuff, I mean, remember that was, a little over a year ago, so it wasn't that long ago. I just feel like, I'm giving the edge to Marquez. I'm going to give the edge to Marquez. And I think that, because here's how I break it down at this point. And again, this is not a final prediction, but here's how I'm breaking it down. And you tell me what you think about this. It's like, okay, Pacquiao has incredible quickness, incredible foot speed and movement, and he's looking like he's the aggressor and coming forward, and he's doing a lot of movement and throwing punches. And I think that kind of activity by itself, everything else being the same, I think creates a favorable impression on the judges and stuff like that. So I think that gives him, a bit of an edge on a scorecard versus someone like Marquez. It's kind of more of a counterpuncher, kind of waiting to respond and stuff like that. So I think that's sort of a disadvantage to Marquez and an advantage to Pacquiao, all things being equal in terms of the scoring and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying here? Following me? Now, you have, Marquez, who is older than Pacquiao, but Marquez is looking actually pretty good. I'm going to deal with that in a second. But the point is that, Pacquiao is getting a little bit older here himself. And what happens if, the speed, factor gets nullified a little bit? In other words, they say that, if I remember correctly, speed is one of the first things to go, if not the first thing to go. So if Pacquiao slows down a little bit, if maybe he's not training quite as intensely and stuff because he's a little bit more focused on his family now or something like that. I mean, there's different variables here. In other words, if, to me, what I saw in that third fight is the real tools that Pacquiao had were speed and footwork, but that's also kind of a bit tied into the speed, obviously, you know what I'm saying? So I think that obviously technique and conditioning, everything like that, but I mean, the footwork's not as effective if you're not as fast, in my personal opinion. So I think that, in all my personal opinion on knowledge, in fact, in that case, it's spurred on for entertainment purpose only, please check disclaimers. The point I'm trying to make is this: if Pacquiao does slow down, right, then how effective is his style going to be against Marquez? Because what I'm seeing with Marquez is looking fit, he's looking, conditioned, he looks really on point. And what I saw is that Marquez was had better technique than Pacquiao, at least for Pacquiao. Was able to get to Pacquiao with a wider range of shots. Pacquiao had the straight left, he had the 1-2, stuff like that, and that was mostly it. The hooks, that was mostly it, you know what I'm saying? Whereas Marquez was able to throw the right hand, was able to do, some counter left hooks, was able to, dig to the body with both hands, was able to throw the uppercut. He had a bigger arsenal. He seemed to be in position more often, and he had better technique, and that's why he was able to time Pacquiao a lot. And that's sort of, and I think he had the bigger shots in terms of the memorable punches and stuff like that. The point being is that Pacquiao, in my personal opinion, slows down even a little bit. I think, that could confer a significant edge to Marquez, because I think he's got, more arsenal. I think he's got better technique. I think, at least in terms of when those two fight together. and I think that also it will change the perception that Pacquiao's got all this movement and speed and aggression and stuff like that. And so I think that you know, if the fear factor from the speed is diminished too, I think you'll see even a more aggressive Marquez. So I think that's my biggest question right now is, can Pacquiao maintain that speed advantage to the same extent that it has been? If not, I think then you're going to see, I mean, and even in those past fights, we've seen them be close, and some people like myself and maybe others have felt like Marquez has won at least one of those fights. And so I think that then creates, the point I'm trying to say is, I'm not ready to make a final prediction yet. If I had to make a prediction right now, I'd give an edge to Marquez. But I'm saying that I'm seeing factors, and a confluence of factors, if you will, that lead me to believe that Marquez might have an edge in this. But I'm going to have to, you know, keep watching HBO 24/7. I'm going to have to look at the weigh-in. I'm going to have to look at these things before I'm ready to make a final prediction. But my early prediction is edge Marquez, and I think Marquez, I think they both want it, but I think Marquez really wants it, and maybe he wants it just a little bit more because, you know, he's not being able to get any victories on these matchups. Pacquiao has, yes, Pacquiao's got his, you know, his reputation, he's got everything like that, but I think that if I have to say of these two, who do I believe is more motivated for this fight, I think Marquez is. That's my personal opinion. What do you think about that? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Who do you give the edge? Why? Tell me where you're at. Comments below. Please subscribe above. I'm John DiVillero, the 4-time national champion and the MMA expert. You're watching Conservative New Media. Please rate this video up. Also, please post it to your social networking sites. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.